Alright guys, let's go over lesson 12. I'm going to be including some breaks in here for you guys because I know it's tough to sit through a whole video like I do. So in this one, we're talking about mascots, and guess what? We're back to Carlos and Clarita. I know you guys missed Carlos and Clarita. So what's going to go on is these two are going to paint the logo of a team on a neighbor's curb. So a curb logo will require 48 square inches of paint, and a driveway mascot will require 16 square feet of paint. Surveys show the twins can sell 100 driveway mascots at a cost of $20, and they will sell 10 fewer mascots for each additional $5 that they charge. So, if a curbside logo is designed in the shape of a square, what will its dimensions be? Well, we have to make this a square, so it's going to be an X by X box. And inside here, we have 48 square inches. Well, we just need to set this up. X squared is equal to 48. Take the square root of both sides. We're going to get that X is equal to the square root of 48, which should be roughly almost 7, so 6 point something. Let me check on my phone real quick. 48 square root, 6.928. 6.9282. Alright. So these are the dimensions if it's a square. 6.9282 inches by 6.9282 inches. And that will get us 48 square feet of paint. Now, a square logo will not fit nicely on a curb. So, they're experimenting with different types of rectangles. Carlos takes a look at the logo when the rectangle is in which it fits is... Sorry, Carlos likes the look of the logo when the rectangle in which it fits is 8 inches longer than it is wide. So instead of having this nice little square, we're going to have an X by X plus 8. Now remember, we only have 48 square inches of paint. So the equation we're going to set up is we're just going to take the area of this box. So X times X plus 8. And set that equal to 48. Now, let's move this around so that it equals 0, because that's just, when we put it in standard form, that is just amazing. So let's put it in standard form. X squared plus 8x equals 48. And then we subtract the 48 from both sides. So x squared plus 8x minus 48 is equal to 0. And all I did here, guys, is I just distributed that x to both of these. So that's our standard equation when the rectangle is 8 inches longer on one side than the other. Now, Clarita prefers it when the rectangle has one side that is 13 inches longer. So, we have an x by x plus 13. And remember, we only have 48 square inches of paint. So let's set this equation up the same way. X times x plus 13. Because remember, the area of a rectangle is length times width. And so this is equal to 48. We'll do the same thing. Let's distribute this through. X squared plus 13x equals 48. Subtract that 48 from both sides, you're going to get x squared plus 13x minus 48 is equal to 0. So these are our two equations. We have Carlos's equation and Clarita's equation. So your quadratic equations on the previous two problems started out looking like this: x times x plus n equals 48, where n is the number of inches the rectangle is longer than it is wide. The expression on the left of the equation could be multiplied so that we get this: x squared plus nx minus 48 equals 0. Now, we're going to use a lot of what we know from quadratic equations to kind of solve this. So looking down at number 4, consider Carlos's quadratic equation where n equals 8. So we have x squared plus 8x minus 48 equals 0. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to describe at least two different strategies we can use to solve this. Well, one is we can try and factor. And the other is the quadratic equation. And now we're going to do both of these. So I'm going to leave the factoring to you guys, and I'm going to do the quadratic equation in this one. So we're going to get x is equal to negative b, which is negative 8, plus or minus the square root of 8 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 48, all over 2a, which is 1, which is going to give us negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 plus 4 times 48 is 192 divided by 2, which means x equals negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 256 divided by 2, which means we get negative 8 plus or minus 14 divided by 2. I believe, let me just double check, but I'm pretty sure the square root of 256 is 16. I was close. So we'll change that 4 to a 6, which means this is going to be equal to negative 8 plus 16 is 8, divided by 2 is 4, and our other one, negative 8 minus 16, is negative 24, divided by 2 gets us negative 12. So those are our two zeros, our two solutions. Now I'm going to leave the factoring to you guys, and guys, take a break whenever you need to in this. Pause the video, rewind it, do what you need to do to understand this better. I'm going to leave your breaks up to you guys, but I do recommend that you guys take breaks. Alright. Number 5, we're going to do the same thing. I would say that one of the easiest things to do here would be to either factor it or use the quadratic equation. Factor quadratic. Now, we may see that factoring isn't going to work. What we could do, so we could put it in vertex form and solve from there. That would work. So actually, because I don't think this is going to factor nicely, we're going to change this to solve from vertex. Now I'm going to do that one this time. So let's put this in vertex form. X squared plus 13x plus something minus 48 minus something equals 0. So then, to find the something, we're going to take 13 divided by 2, and we're going to get 6.5. Take that 6.5 and square it, and we're going to get 42.25, which is what we're putting in here, and what we're putting here. So 0 is equal to, and then remember, we can make this our tiny little perfect square binomial, x plus 6.5 squared minus, I'm going to say that's 90.25, because I can almost guarantee that. Alright, so then we need to solve this little equation here for x. So let's add that 90.25 to both sides. So 90.25 is equal to x plus 6.5 squared take the square root of both sides to get rid of that square. So then the square root of 90.25, using my trick that I do for squaring halves, I know that this is going to be 9.5 plus or minus, can't forget that plus or minus, is equal to x plus 6.5. So then we subtract that 6.5 from both sides, and our x's are going to be negative 6.5 plus or minus 9.5, which means we're going to get x equals negative 6.5 plus 9.5 gets us 3. Negative 6.5 minus 9.5 gets us negative 16. Now, guys, I'll leave the quadratic equation up to you. It's really not too bad. You guys just need to follow that example that I set there in the top. And now when it comes to factoring of number 4, this should factor very, very nicely. You guys can see that from the answer over here of 4, negative 12. It should factor great. And we could have factored this one. I just didn't see how it would factor nicely. But clearly we could have. Alright. So after much disagreement, they agreed to design a curbside logo to fit in a rectangle that's 6 inches longer than it is wide. So, 6 inches longer than it is wide. So our logo is going to look like this. Which means our equation is going to be x times x plus 6 equals 48. So we need to write and solve a quadratic equation here. So I'm going to help you guys in writing it, but I want you guys to use one of these 3 ways up here in the top in the last 2 problems that we've used to be able to solve this. So x squared plus 6x equals 48. Subtract that 48 from both sides. X squared plus 6x equals, or sorry, not equals, minus 48 equals 0. Now this is our equation. This right here is the equation you guys are going to need to work with. You guys are going to need to find the answers for this using one of the 3 ways that we've done before. So you guys can factor it. You guys can solve from Vertex. You guys can use the quadratic formula. Any way you guys feel like solving this, I want you guys to use that, okay? Whichever way is easiest for you guys. So go ahead, take a break, take some time, solve this out before you continue with the rest of the video. Alright, so number 7. What are the dimensions of a driveway mascot if it's designed to fit in a rectangle that is 6 feet longer than it is wide? So guys, remember the driveway mascot, if we look up at the top back here, uses 16 square feet of paint. So when you come back down here to 7, 16 square feet. So, if it's 6 feet longer than it is wide, we set it up this way. So we're going to get x times x plus 6 is equal to 16 square feet of paint. So then we're going to work through our equation. We're going to get x squared plus 6x equals 16. Subtract that 16 from both sides. You're going to get x squared plus 6x minus 16 equals 0. And now this one is perfectly set up to factor. You guys can use the quadratic equation if you want to. I want you guys to do that. I'm going to do it too. But I want you guys to try and solve this before you see me solve it. So I'll let you guys take a break right now and solve it. Alright, so coming back from that break, what I want you guys to do is I'm going to factor it because I can see clearly that this has to be, so our factors that multiply negative 16 are negative 16 times 1, 16 times negative 1, negative 2 times 8, 2 times negative 8, negative 4 times 4. Those are only ones. Now the ones that add up to 6, well, 8 minus 2 gets us 6. So we're going to break it up into this. So we're going to go x plus 2 times x, x minus 2. Minus 2x plus 8. Those are our factors. If we were to multiply this out, we would get this exact equation. Now, we have this thing called the zero product property. So if two things multiply together that equal 0, one of them has to equal 0. So we're just going to set them both equal to 0. So we get x minus 2 equals 0, and x plus 8 equals 0. So then we solve this. We just add 2 to both sides here. X equals 2. And over here we subtract 8. So x equals negative 8. Those are our two answers for this. Which means that the dimensions of this, we're going to have a 2 by 8 driveway mascot. Because we can't use that negative 8, we can't have a negative distance. Now I'm going to let you guys solve this one. I'm going to set up the equation with you, but you guys need to solve this one. So, it's 10 feet longer than it is wide. So we have x plus 10, still equaling 16. So, x times x plus 10 equals 16. Now let's get this into a standard form. So we're going to get x squared plus 10x equals 16. Subtract that 16 from both sides, you get x squared plus 10x minus 16 equals 0. This is the equation you guys need to work with. You guys can factor it. You guys can solve it by converting it to vertex form. Whatever you guys need to do to solve this, solve it. I know you guys can do this. You guys can use the quadratic formula if you want to. That will work every single time. Alright, so we got a few more. And now, they're examining the results of the survey, trying to determine how much they should charge for a driveway mascot. Remember, this is what they have found from the survey. They can sell 100 mascots at a cost of $20, and they'll sell 10 fewer mascots for each additional $5 they charge. So, number of driveway mascots the twins can sell for each $5 increment, X in the price of a mascot. So number of mascots purchased is 10 if they don't increase their price at all. So let's say they increase their price by $5. They're going to lose 10, so this will be 90. And we're just going to go down by 10 here. That's a 7. So, if they increase the price by $50, nobody's going to buy them. Because who's going to pay $70 for a driveway mascot? I mean, that's just ridiculous. Now you guys need to sketch a graph and write an equation for the number of mascots. Alright, so clearly, if we're just looking at our rate of change here, we're subtracting 10. So it's minus 10x, and our starting point is 100. So it's negative 10x plus 100 for the number of driveway mascots. So let's call this n. So the number of actually we'll call it m mascots. Now, we're going to write an equation for the price. So after each increment, it's going up by $5. So 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, not 70, 65, 70. So our starting point, so we'll go price, so we'll call it P, is equal to our rate of change is 5x, and our starting point is 20. Now the revenue, so revenue is price times the number of mascots sold. So we have those two equations here. Up here we have the number of mascots, so let's make an equation. Revenue is equal to the number of mascots times the price. Alright, so let's rewrite this. So R is equal to, our equation for the number was negative 10x plus 100. So we'll go 100 minus 10x. Our price is 5x plus 20. And now let's multiply this through. Let's find our revenue equation. So revenue is equal to, we're just going to distribute. Or FOIL, if you guys want to say that. So we're going to get 500x plus 2,000 minus 50x squared minus 200x. Now let's rewrite this in a way that's easier to see because this is all over the place. So revenue, let's bring that x squared out to the front. So negative 50x squared. 500x minus 200x gets us a positive 300x. And we're leaving that 2,000 alone. Now, what you guys need to do is you guys need to plug in these values into this table. I'll give you guys time to do that. It's pretty straightforward. You just need to plug in those x values wherever you see an x and solve that equation. So the twins estimate that the cost of supplies will be $250, and they would like to make $2,000 in profit. Therefore, they will need to collect $2,250 in revenue. Write and solve a quadratic equation that represents collecting $2,250 in revenue. So, I want to give you guys time to do this on your own. So go ahead, take a break. Go get something to drink. Go eat some food. Go do something real quick. Come back, and then solve this. Alright, so going back from your break, so they need to collect $2,250 in revenue. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this equation up here equal to 2,250 so we can find when that happens. So 2,250 is equal to negative 50x squared plus 300x plus 2,000. So these are some really big numbers. What we can do, actually first let's get this into our regular form. So let's subtract that 2250 from both sides so we can get a 0 on that left-hand side. So 0 equals, we left the 50x squared alone, we left the 300x alone, but we subtracted 2,250 from 2,000. So we're going to get a negative 250. Okay. So what we can see is we clearly have a 50 in every single one of these. So let's divide both sides by 50. So we had 0 equals negative x squared, because we divided by 50, plus 6x minus 5. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to use, I like to use the quadratic equation, because it's just the easiest thing to do here. So let's do this. So x equals negative b, which is 6, plus or minus the square root of b squared, minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. And I'll move this to this side so we can keep going this way. So this is going to be equal to negative 6, plus or minus the square root of 36. And we have 3 negatives there, so it's still going to be a negative. 4 times 1 is 4, times 5 is 20. Divided by 2 times negative 1, which is negative 2. So this is equal to negative 6 plus or minus 36 minus 20 is 16, and the square root of 16 is 4, divided by negative 2. So let's get our two values here. So our two values, we'll take the positive row to the negative. So positive up here, and we'll go negative down here. So we're going to go negative 6 plus 4 divided by 2. Well, that's negative 2 divided by 2, negative 2, which gives us 1. Down here in the negative row, negative 6 minus 4 divided by negative 2. It's going to be negative 10 divided by negative 2, which gets us 5. So our two values are at 1 and 5. Which means they need to sell, so they need to sell between 1 and 5 in order to make that revenue that they want to make, at least. Alright guys, so that's the end of this video. And I want you guys to know we are going to do a project that has to do with revenue, so I want you guys to take some extra time to understand what's going on here and rewatch it, go through it again. Make sure you have this down. It'll be a really fun project. I'm going to have you guys design this idea or this thing that you can sell to people, and then you guys are going to do a survey, however you can, whoever you can get a hold of, and ask them how much they would spend on that one item. Then you guys are going to have to figure out the table. I might just give you guys a table. That might be easier. We'll see when it comes to the project. But it's going to be a really fun project, and it's going to have to do with this. And you guys are going to have to figure out what you need to sell between to make up your costs, so to break even. And then you guys are going to see where are you going to make the most money. So, first video of the week. This is it. I hope you guys really enjoy these videos because I enjoy making them. Hopefully my headset and my voice doesn't sound too terrible. I am getting a new headset soon, so it will sound better. I really appreciate this, you guys. I hope you guys are all staying healthy out there, staying sane. If you guys have any questions at all, shoot me an email. Call my phone at work. It'll ring here at my house. It'll be great. So yeah, just have a great day, guys.